Hello and welcome back to Day 4 of the Course in Mastery. Today, Tom Wood is going to talk about the significance of taking personal responsibility for your own life. You're also going to hear a powerful story from a man named John Foppe. Here's Tom.
Thank you, Coral. Years back, I was involved in a project where we studied the best rock climbers in the world. We had exclusive access to top-ranking rock climbers, anywhere from being ranked number 1 to number 10 in the world. We studied what made them different than all the other rock climbers in the world. We studied their beliefs, their ideas, their strategies, and their attitudes. What we discovered is that these top rock climbers took more personal responsibility for their rock climbing than all the others. They never once complained about the weather, the rock, the situation, other people. They always believed that it was up to them. Think back at a time when you achieved something. I'm sure that if you think back at a specific time, you took personal responsibility for making that thing happen. I'm sure it wasn't somebody else that made it happen. I'm sure it was something you did. Now that personal responsibility is what separated you in that event. That personal responsibility can also separate you in every other aspect of your life. It's about taking responsibility first before having that great success. What I'd like you to discover today is that taking personal responsibility changes everything in every area of your life, not just the times when you succeeded, but even the times you failed. Think of every aspect in your life you want to improve. Your career, your wealth, your relationships, your health. Every area in which you want success, the first step is to take personal responsibility for everything that happens. Now I know you might be thinking, for example, I was in a hurricane. How could I take personal responsibility for the hurricane? It destroyed everything I had. Well, you're the one who moved to Florida, correct? Where they have hurricanes. You're the one who didn't buy hurricane insurance, correct? You see, no matter what happens to you in your life, you can always have two choices. One, to blame others or other things, or two, take personal responsibility. This goes deeper than you can even imagine, to the very core of everything in your life. If you take personal responsibility, things start to happen. Think of every area in your life that you want to improve. Your health, your fitness, your relationships, your career, your wealth. In each area, you must take personal responsibility for the success and failure. Now think about this. If you're in a hurricane that wipes out your home and bankrupts you, can you take personal responsibility for that? I know what you're thinking. It's a hurricane. You didn't do it. Well, you can take personal responsibility for living where you live, for having insurance or not having insurance, and for doing what you need to do after the hurricane is there. That's the kind of responsibility we're talking about. The dramatic difference of people who complain about the weather or about politics or about the economy to those who take personal responsibility is incredible. Now, this final part about taking personal responsibility is sometimes the most difficult, especially for high achievers. What happens is, as we achieve, we start to take responsibility for other people. And the most important thing you can do is to allow other people to take personal responsibility themselves. For example, if you've had a lot of success in your life and you want your children or your employees or your friends to have the same success, you don't want to do things for them. Allow them to take personal responsibility themselves. This is the true mark of someone who's taken personal responsibility. And finally, if you're a teenager and you're watching this and you think, oh, this is just for adults because my parents won't let me do this or my teacher won't let me do that, that's baloney and you know it. You can take personal responsibility for your life. You're the one who suffers the consequences when you make a bad decision. You know that. Take personal responsibility. Things change in a big way. That's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Tom. Today's story is from John Foppe, a man born without arms who had to take personal responsibility for himself despite his handicap in order to live an independent life. Here's John Foppe and the people who love him most to recount his story.
As a child, even though he learned to do many things with his feet, he still depended heavily on his family to help him. Until one day, his mother laid down the law. By now, she had 8 sons, and she was determined that John was going to be treated as just another one of the boys.
Now, I don't know how it is in your house, but in my house, my mom makes the rules. And in my house, my mom changes the rules. She changes them anytime it's convenient to do so. Can you all relate? She called a meeting with my brothers. I wasn't invited, didn't even know it had happened. She told my brothers that they were no longer allowed to help me in any way, shape, or form around the house. John needed help getting that plate down from the cabinet. Let him do it himself. He breaks every plate in this house, fine. At 10 years old, I still needed my brother's help to get dressed before going off to school in the morning. She said, let him run around this house naked. He won't go to school.
Well, it was hard because you want to help them. You want to do everything you can for them. And yet I could see I was getting no place. So the best help that I could do was let him help himself. And in turn, it was tough love, and that's very hard for a parent to do. But in this situation, it just had to be that way.
There's a lot of love there. My family, my brothers, and all that. My parents, just a big love cushion there. But no way did they overprotect me. I think they more or less encouraged me to go out there to do things myself.
John was forced to figure out how to do everything for himself. And he was on his way to learning a very important lesson.
If you don't have the best of everything, then make the best of everything you have. When I was 16 years old, I was on top of the world. I was the only kid in a 6-state radius who could drive a car with his feet. I mean, this was cool. And if I didn't start learning to change these things in my life now and start seeing myself as a value, liking myself, and not walking around with a chip on my shoulder thinking that everyone owed me everything because of my handicap, if that didn't change now, it never would. I have not done this alone. It's easy to look at a person on stage who can do neat things with his feet and who has done all these wonderful things in terms of overcoming his physical handicap. But I maintain that it's the physical things were not the issue. It's the mental and emotional handicaps. And that is where other people have played a tremendous role in my life in helping me realize that. They've encouraged me, they've loved me, they've supported me, they've humbled me, they've given to me, and they've taken. And helping me realize that I don't go through this alone. I was instilled with a lot of positive values as a child and as a teenager. Some of them, I think, include being personally responsible for who you are and what you do. That your actions do have outcomes, and that I had to be responsible for that.
That's it for day 4. Tomorrow's lesson is less about what you know and more about who you know, but it's not what you're thinking. See you tomorrow.